All right, and we are live. Guys, I'm so excited to be back. It's been several weeks. I just took a little bit of a break to realign the show and do everything on the right track for moving forward as we go into the rest of the year. So, for anyone who's newly joining us today, the goal of the show is to really bring awareness and understanding to emotions and feelings, make it more of an open conversation. And the fact of the matter is, you guys, when we talk about this stuff, when we bring it to light, we have a better opportunity to positively impact mental health, mental wellness, reduce anxiety, reduce depression. And with all that being said, I am so excited to have Nicole here today. Nicole and I met at a training about a year and a half ago, and she's been on an amazing journey. I'll let her mention her story. You guys, this woman is phenomenal. She's an international speaker. She's a wellness coach. She has a course on, I'm looking down so I don't get it wrong. She has a course to help bridge the gap of communication between teenagers and kids and parents. How phenomenal is that? She is a published author of a book called Unchoke Me, helping to release the frustration that sometimes we feel with our children. And she speaks on a number of different topics. So with all that being said, Nicole, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, a year and a half.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yes.
So with that being said, why don't you give our viewers a little bit of or a lot bit of perspective about you and who you are, what your journey has looked like in whatever form it comes.
Sounds good. I'm currently a single mom of 3. I have, which is weird because my older 2 are in that adult transition. My daughter just recently moved to Missouri. She's 18. She moved to Missouri to be with her girlfriend. So I've been in panic mom mode because we're so close that I'm like, I need my baby. And I have a 17-year-old son who is heading into his senior year and an 11-and-a-half-year-old. I have to add the half or he's going to be like, I'm almost 12.
I love it.
Let's see. I came from a broken home. My parents were divorced when I was 2, and I didn't have the co-parenting. I didn't think they encouraged co-parenting very much back then in the 1980s.
Hey, girl, I got the 70s.
Okay.
We're in the same boat.
I'm pushing 40 now. I'm like, but it's like seriously going into my best life right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I sustained childhood sexual assault at the age of 5 by a babysitter's husband, and then again at the age of 11. But at the age of 11, I did decide to use my voice, and I told the adults what were happening. And unfortunately, things were not handled in what we would consider a normal way today. Church elders, we were involved in an evangelical church, and church elders were contacted, to which they just said that I was acting out for attention, and the situation continued to happen. A lot of emotional and physical abuse as I went through the years, sustained by some family members, some step family members. And so I left home very early. I left home at 16, a couple bouncing back and forth just to see if I could have just the slightest bit of support at home. And it wasn't going to work. So I went into the military when I graduated high school and made it through basic training, made it through AIT training, which is where you learn how to do your job. And then got to my duty station, and shortly thereafter sustained a military sexual assault, which on my behalf was rape. And I'm still fighting that case today because they discarded or got rid of, magically, it doesn't exist, the police report that I had. Thankfully, I did go to the hospital, and to which it does state I went there for rape. And that was for suicidal ideations, because I went to the military because it was a way of having a family that I didn't have. It was a brotherhood. It was a sisterhood. And it didn't turn out that way. I felt like just like with my own family, I felt like I was thrown out like a piece of trash. And that I'm still going through. I'm still in treatment for that. I'm still in therapy for that, for PTSD, with everything that's transpired over the years. So came home, had my daughter. That didn't work out because I was a 19-year-old rabbit. And then shortly after found my then husband, and I got married very young. 1 star not recommended for a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
But, you live and you learn. And that was a childhood domestic situation on top of a couple times with us. And there's no, it wasn't just his fault. It was also my fault as well. I don't think I know I didn't know what marriage meant or was. I just, was in my 20s and stupid. And you grow so much in your 20s. And it wasn't until I hit, how old am I? So I want to say my mid-20s, late 20s, I started learning about growth and how to grow and understanding what was wrong with me. Because at the time, I didn't know that I had a mental illness. I didn't know that I had post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't know I was depressed. I just knew I was sleeping a lot. And I was shut off from everyone and everything, and getting yelled at for sleeping too much. And
Nicole, I apologize for interrupting, but can we stay on that for a minute?
Sure.
I have a couple questions because you have so much to bring to our audience that I don't want to step over anything. And I want to say, Usama and Jihan, thank you for joining us. Great to have you here.
Christy Matusiak is also watching.
Hi, Christy. She must be on Facebook, so thank you for that. Catching that one. Hi, Christy. Good morning. Okay, so first, I'm just holding space, Nicole. You've endured a lot in your life, and you're bringing so much forward to bring that knowledge forward for other people, and I'm grateful for you and everything you have going on. Okay, so you mentioned that you were in a dark space, right? And sleeping a lot. And I think that in today's society, we have a number of adolescents and young people in similar circumstances.
Yeah.
And I'm not confident that a lot of parents know the signs to look for, or to tell, wow, my child's struggling. This isn't just general fatigue. It's not just that they're exhausted. They have more going on here.
Yeah.
And in that circumstance, what suggestions do you have? And I think as parents, everyone's always doing their best that they can and that they know how. And I also believe with knowledge, we can bring information forward. So with that being said, what suggestions would you have from the path you walked for parents to watch out for, both on the sexual abuse side, to watch out for, and what questions to ask their children to support them when something's going on, but also from a depressive side, what signs to watch for?
Absolutely. And if you don't mind, I'm going to actually take a step back from that. And so since 2017, the young adult suicide rate from age 10 to 24 has grown 60%.
Yep.
And I wholeheartedly believe that a portion of that is because we don't listen to our kids. We dictate our kids. We tell them what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, instead of listening to what's going on at school and what's going on around the people that are brought in our home, and how stressed are you with this, what parents. I hear it time and time again on teens and parents fighting, on kids not feeling safe to talk to their parents because out of fear, or not being able to come out about being in the LGBTQ plus community, or being bullied and not feeling even safe at home. So listening to your kids, active listening, because the majority of individuals listen to respond. They don't listen to process. They don't listen and say, hey, I hear what you're saying. Is this is how I'm receiving this? Is this how you're trying to come across for me? And how can I support you in this way? And I'm going to circle back around, but my son and I had my 17-year-old and I had our first fight a couple. The cat and the dog just got it.
That's what makes breaks and shows.
I was like, excuse me? I digress. We had our first fight a couple months ago, and it was I haven't yelled in 5 years. I haven't had any aggressive feelings with my kids in 8 years. And I was like, I started laughing. I'm like, you go in your corner, I'll go in my corner, and we're just gonna have our own space. And it took a couple days for both of us to calm down, because that's just how heated we were. And I started laughing when we sat down and talked, and he looked at me like I was absolutely nuts. And I'm like, well, I'm nuts, but that's okay. And he was expressing himself of, Mom, you didn't let me get out what my thoughts were. I said, let me tell you something. Most parents don't. And you need to understand that what I allow you to let out is a gift, because most parents dictate. They don't want to hear your side. They just want to shut you down and say, nope, this is how it is. I don't care what you're thinking. I don't care what you're feeling. I allow that for you. We sit on the floor. We cry together. They all can express themselves wholeheartedly. They tell me how their day is. They tell me what's going on. They tell me how frustrated they're in school. They come to me and tell me, hey, my friend needs a condom because he wants to have sex for the first time. My daughter, we're just everything from something basic to something open as sexuality. Yeah. I bought and I don't mean to put my daughter's business out there, but this is how open we are as a family. I purchased her first self-women care for her, because I wanted her to know how to please herself without having someone else please her, because you have to learn how to be happy alone, emotionally, physically, mentally, all of that. Yeah. So I encourage all of that for them. And my son came to me and he said, Mom, I don't understand that. Why do parents do that? I said, I'm not sure, buddy, but I can tell you that you have the freedom to speak, as long as it's respectfully and not yelling and not elevating. We can sit, we can eat, you can say whatever you want to say. And I'm going to say, okay, this is what I'm hearing. Is this what you meant? Right. Right. So when you're looking for signs of depression, and one of my kids does suffer severely from depression, has cut themselves to the point where it scars. It scars all the way up. They've been inpatient nearly twice. And this child came to me last year and said, Mom, I need to go inpatient, or I need to get therapy again, or I'm not going to be here and you're going to be down one less child. As a parent, I can't imagine losing a child. And I know a few people that have some friends and a sister who has lost a child. That is something I have wanted to protect for so long. So for me, creating a safe space for them to be able to come and tell me I'm not okay, without fear, without bias, without judgment. I'm not okay. And this is why I'm not okay, because what seems small to us as adults is not small to them. Yeah. What seems small to us as adults is something very serious for them. And sometimes it may just be the lack of ability to learn and understand how to communicate and how to communicate appropriately. Yeah. My son and I went live on male toxicity and how that's affected him today, and how he wants a relationship and what he views a healthy relationship is. Mm-hmm. When my ex-husband and I got divorced in 2016, I've spent since then trying to rewire and expand his thought process on what a healthy relationship is and is not. And it's taken a long time. And even when he gets upset, it's when Jazzy left home, and this was just recent, this was just a week or two ago, I said I had to call them, the boys, and tell them, I was like, hey, Jazzy's not coming home. She's going to take a little bit and she's going to figure out who she is and what she wants. And he flipped out and he called her and he yelled her and cursed at her and you need to get home now. And I came home. I didn't didn't even visit it over the phone because I knew. She called me sobbing. I said, baby, he doesn't know how to process.
Yeah.
He never learned how to process his emotions.
Yeah.
The process of emotions that he learned was, I'm hurt, I'm taking it out in an anger.
Yep.
So when I got home, I was like, buddy, like, I know you're going to miss her. I know she didn't like get to formally say goodbye, but she'll be back. Like, and with tears in his eyes. And he's like, it's not about that. She should have came and said goodbye. And I'm like, buddy, like, so I had to take him from that anger process to, man, it's okay. We all have wings. Like, you're going to fly next year too. Like, you want to go to college. So when you're recognizing those signs and symbols, it's taking that in ourselves. Am I listening to my child?
Yep.
Or am I taking their information and saying, well, we had it worse or we had it just as bad? No, the heck we didn't. You know why? Because if we were getting bullied at school, yeah, it made us stronger in situations, but we got to leave that crap at school.
Yeah.
These kids have access to so much, and I'm looking for my phone. Oh, I'm on my phone. My phone's on. We have access to so many devices, and these kids don't get to detach. The second somebody catches something on Snapchat or catches something on Instagram or whatever other platforms are out there, that crap goes viral in a half a heartbeat. So now it's not just stuck in the classroom. It's not just stuck at school. It's not just hearsay, he said, she said. They got to carry this crap home with them.
Yeah.
Now, given the living situation, that's either going to add to the fuel or it's some have a safe space, but not a lot.
Yeah, agreed. And you dropped on so many nuggets that I don't want to step over. And Usama, thank you for the feedback. We're getting some great comments. Jihan and Usama, thank you for, again, all of you and being here. Okay. You touched on that. I want to just recap. So 100% listening and actively listening is key. So kind of the steps that I wrote down for anyone listening, any parent kind of in that mix of, my kids have this going on and they don't know how to deal with it. I remember when Bo was growing up and now he's 21 and even now navigating, grateful I have now more knowledge than I did then, right?
Right.
Listening, repeating back, making sure that we acknowledge it the right way, acknowledging their feelings, just not making them wrong or bad or not labeling or judging any of the things that they're feeling, because that's their feelings, you guys, and they can own them just like we can own our feelings at every point. The other things that I kind of noted down as we're talking this through is asking basic questions. How is this impacting you? How is this impacting you at school? How is this impacting you emotionally? And to your point, letting them respond and listening to whatever that response is. And asking the simple question, how can I support you in this situation? What can I do to help? And I love how you said processing their emotions. Nicole, I love your perspective on this. I really believe that generationally, perhaps parents and parents' parents haven't learned how to process. So now we're up against a situation that people are trying to work with and understand what their children are going through, but they've never gone through it themselves and their parents have never gone through it. What tips do you have in that arena to help people understand their own emotions and in turn how to help support their kids in their emotions?
Absolutely. We're getting some comments on Facebook too.
Yeah.
So I have to acknowledge Christy Matuziak. She said she loves us both. Kimberly Genovese, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it.
You're good. Yep.
Okay. Amen. And then Christy, acknowledging thoughts and encouragement. So you're welcome. Like I said earlier, it starts with us. We choose to break generational cycles and curses. I broke the generational cycle of childhood abuse. And that's not to say I didn't do it.
Right.
It was something happened and it triggered something in me of, this is who I said I was not going to be. And this is what I've become.
Right.
And I have this thing, it's called SMAC, SMAK. So it's self-analysis, assessing who I'm being and how I'm showing up for others. And that includes my kids. And I ask my kids to hold me accountable if I do or say something that is out of alignment with who I told them I am aiming to be. And they do. My daughter and my son, my boys are like, no, this is what you said. This is what you committed to. And then I tell them, and I wholeheartedly apologize. So if I step out of alignment with who I told them I would be as a mom. And when it comes to that acknowledging part, it's about what a lot of parents miss is the apology part. And this is what differentiates myself and another parent is there's apologizing. And this is something my mom taught me very, very well and very early on is I'm sorry is not an apology. I'm sorry I hurt you in this way. I'm sorry I said these words. I'm sorry I did this action. And I promise you, I will not do it again. And in the event I do it again, you hold me accountable to that. And we will move forward from there because I'm still human. I'm not perfect.
He's excited. He wants the conversation, Nicole.
It's been an awesome morning. So, self-awareness, acknowledging who you are and where you're at, and taking that appropriate apology because kids deserve that too. We are not perfect and they need to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. M is mastery of self-awareness. So like I said, we're human. We're going to fall back at some point. It took me 5 years before I yelled again. It took me 8 years before I was like, I actually threw something because I was that upset. And I allowed somebody else to take me out of alignment because I was upset at their lack of trying. That's their journey.
Right.
It's not my journey. It's their journey. So why did I allow that to affect me? So the moment I realized that I had not mastered that part, despite the fact I thought I did, I had to reassess. So some A is agility. So when I say agility, it's emotional agility, the ability to acknowledge, oh crap, that's not who I said I was going to be. Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm trying not to curse on your show.
You're okay. That's fine.
This is not who I said I was going to be. But who I said I was going to be was loving and caring and listening and receiving information and guiding them because it is not my journey. No matter how bad I want something for my kids and how much I want a brighter future for them, it's still not my journey. So if they choose something different, that's not my responsibility to take on, especially 15, 16 plus, because at that point, we're just guiding them. We're their coach. The teaching happens as a child. Once they're teenagers, we're preparing. Can they do dishes? Can they do laundry? Can they wake up on time without being told? Can they, I tell my boyfriend, I'm like, I'm sorry if there's anything smell coming from that side of the house. That's not my zone. My zone is this zone. That's not my zone. So the ability to, one, pick your battles, but then two, have that emotional agility to say, how did I just show up? And how do I apologize for what just happened and reset the situation? And then after that is the K, and that's kindness and stepping back into your purpose. Because we're human. We're going to fall out of purpose every now and again. We're going to fall out of alignment. A lot of parents take their work days or their stress days and they bring it home. Our kids just want to see our faces and give us a hug. They don't, when you bring that work crap home or the stress home or the conversation with your baby mama, baby daddy that you're fighting with for no reason, it's about them. It's about everything that you said you would be for the benefit of the people around you, to make the impact for the people around you. And if you're not in alignment and you're not centered, you really need to smack yourself in a healthy way. So that's why I came up with the smack.
Yeah, I absolutely love that analogy. Backing up, and I appreciate that you brought up alignment because it's key and for all of us. And I also believe that not everyone's aware of what alignment is for them. So why don't you tell us from your perspective how you teach people to determine what their aligned state is and also to stay balanced within their space?
So for individuals who just como se dice? For people who aren't in the spiritual world, and when I say spiritual, I do not mean religious. I'm not a religious individual. I do grounding, I do meditating, I do my best to stay centered. I believe that we are energy and spirits operating a body. We're not a body operating a spirit. And there's some scientific evidence that goes into that, but we're not going to go into that right now. So if something feels wrong, or if you say or do something that feels wrong or icky or that made me feel bad that I did or said that, then you're out of alignment. When you feel good and when you're like, yes, today's a great day and things are going well, and you're just it's feeling like a coasting day and just everything great is happening, then you're in alignment or vibration with what it is that you're seeking out, which for most people is just, it's love, it's wanting to be happy, it's wanting to feel good. So in the most basic way I can explain it, I hope I did that right.
There's no wrong answer, Nicole. It's your answer. So the one thing that I would add, and what I teach people in alignment is knowing your values. First and foremost, it's physiologically knowing your balance, knowing when you feel good, knowing what doesn't feel good, and also knowing what your core values are. And I think when we know what our core values are, our beliefs are, what we want, then we know if we get kicked out of it. And also having steps to say, ooh, I'm kicked out. I'm not feeling good right now. To your point, physiologically, I'm feeling different things.
Right.
And coming back into center. And again, having steps of what will get us back to center when we get kicked out of alignment.
Yeah. And for me, I it's funny because I just got back from a women's retreat with Unleash You Now team. And one of the speakers was talking about, we were talking about getting back in that vibration and getting back centered and everything like that. So when you feel icky or it just doesn't feel right, putting on a great song, dancing, writing, watching a movie, going out into nature, grounding, things like that. So whatever that is for you, but you have to take the steps to do that for yourself and understand you need to spend time with yourself and spend time healing and processing your childhood self or your trauma. And because we all have some form of trauma, and which trauma to me isn't trauma to you. So taking time and the steps to do that, and the more centered you become in understanding what makes you feel good and what makes you feel bad, perceived bad, then you can start to pinpoint where things are not good for you, and you can start to adjust it. Then you make a choice of, this makes me feel bad, I'm not doing that, like watching 4 hours of TV a night, or this makes me feel good, going for a walk in nature. This makes me feel bad eating 5 pizzas in a week, because your gut, we have over 280 microbiomes in our gut, and that's where all of our health issues come from. I digress. We're good.
I love it. It's good. I love that you digress. Okay, so I thank you, Angel, for being here. Love that. Being responsible of time, because we are a half-hour show. Nicole, there's so many notes I have of nuggets that you've dropped that I would love to have you back over the next month, because I think that there's other topics that I would love to get your take on, and also bring forward to our audience as it relates to kids and parents and that communication piece. You are amazing. And guys, if you aren't familiar with Nicole, if you don't know her yet, connect with her. I'm going to put all of her links. As I mentioned early in the show, she's a published author. She's a speaker. She actually directly coaches parents on bridging the gap of communication with teens, which I would find invaluable if my son would still be a teenager. So I love what you're doing, Nicole. I love what you stand for and all of what you're bringing forward. So thank you. Grateful for you.
Thank you.
And as it relates, feelings, emotions, anxiety, all the things that we face, do you have any final tips for our viewers for tips that they can use in the moment with their kids, with situations, with themselves to keep thriving in life and just keep moving past whatever hard moment that they're going through.
Absolutely. Detach.
Mm.
All of the electronic devices, detach and spend time with yourself, getting to know yourself. Read a book, learn how to meditate. There's guided meditations. There's individuals out there who can help with meditation. Spend time with your kids without electronics. In my parent teen course, I run it like an infinity symbol. Parents have one route, teens have another route, but they come together every week to do an activity and to spend alone time together. No electronics are allowed. And then it all relates to the lesson at the beginning of the week. And it just take that time, because time is so short. In a blink of an eye, my daughter was 18 and on her own. So I'm so happy that I built the relationship with her that I wanted before she left, because now it would have been too late to say, hey, let's fix this.
Yeah.
Take the time now.
I love that, Nicole. And yeah, I'll put all of Nicole's links in the comments, and we will see you back here again soon. Thank you again for being here, and thanks for everyone who's able to join us. Love you guys.